Alright, it's Thursday, we're back at the farm. Let's give you guys an E92 update. I feel like it's just never ending with this car. Every Thursday got something to work on, and today we're going to be doing a clutch. I went with the genuine BMW clutch kit. We got the friction disc, the pressure plate underneath, the pivot point, throwout bearing, and the pressure plate bolts. I was doing all my research online. Pretty much my discount at work was the cheapest option for a clutch. It was like 450 bucks. I think a normal person would pay like 750 plus tax. And the next cheapest one that I found online was a aftermarket LUX Lux brand. And that was, I think, 520 bucks, I think. So the OEM one just made sense with my work discount. Now, clutch job is quite hard. It's going to be taking me probably all freaking day. Dropping the transmission is not a lot of fun. I did buy a thing off of Amazon to go onto my jack to get the chains up around the transmission, and unfortunately I forgot to bring that. So it's going to be difficult for me because I still got to get it done today, and hopefully that's okay. There's a few smaller things on my list as well if I get the clutch done, and then I can work on some other things. I do want to raise the ride height. I decided, yeah, this is too low for the winter time, so we're going to probably raise it about an inch. Get the front and the back up an inch. You guys remember from the last video, I did the oil cooler and the mesh that I put here seemed to rip away because the wheel was rubbing on it. So I've got to put some more mesh in there and fix it. And it looks like the rubber is like, I don't know, just hitting the oil cooler. So I might have to try and push the oil cooler in farther. I think that's going to be taking up my full day of getting the clutch, raising the ride height, and tampering with that oil cooler positioning. If I have any more time, I still have a few other things on my list. I have mirror caps to replace, I have the mirrors to replace. For this carbon trim for the inside, I got a shifter, I got a steering wheel cover. There's no way I'm getting that today, but that's just future stuff for the car. Next Thursday I'll be on vacation, but it sounds like the first Thursday of November when I get back, I'll still be here working on that stuff. Yeah, now I'm gonna jack up the car and get ready to work on the clutch and try and get the clutch done as fast as I can. Okay, the car is jacked up in the air. Now it's time to get underneath there and working on the clutch. In order to get the transmission out, one of the first things I need to do is get the plastic protectors off, and then after that, I gotta drop the whole exhaust system to get it out of the way. First thing would be clamps up here, which are extremely rusty, so that looks like it's going to be lots of fun. Okay, it's 1:47 and I got the exhaust dropped down. These were extremely rusty and hard to get off. I was able to heat up the top two and actually get a socket on them, and they actually came off. The bottom two ended up spinning, so I ended up just cutting them off, and I'm gonna get the studs out. I wasn't too worried because I have this kit. I knew the studs, I knew the nuts were gonna be destroyed, taking them off. So I bought this kit and we'll just replace them with that. So I just gotta knock the studs out. So now the next step is to disconnect the drive shaft here. In order to do that, I'm gonna have to drop this heat shield. So we're gonna get that apart, we'll disconnect that, and then we can start working on the transmission bolts. Tip, when you're removing the exhaust, you don't technically need to remove those rubber bushings, but I did buy this tool just in case, and thank God I had it because the top one here, this bolt ended up stripping on the bottom side, so I ended up having to use that tool to get it off. If not, I would have just been like having to cut that, or I would have been pretty screwed. But thankfully, due to that tool, it took me like an extra 2 minutes and I was able to get that done. And the rest of them just unbolted from the chassis really easily. Okay, so I got the heat shield off, I got the drive shaft down, disconnected. Now it's time to start working on the actual transmission. And I do notice this selector rod or whatever that is, that seal's leaking, but I don't have that seal, so that's just gonna stay as it is. Now let's get to work and get all this stuff off. It's 2:15 right now. Let's see how long it takes to drop the transmission. As I started to remove the bolts underneath, I realized there is one bolt up above, so I had to take the whole engine bay apart, the cowl at the top, the injection cover, the charge pipe. I take all that off just to get down to a bolt all the way in there by the starter. So got the extension on it finally, so we're gonna see if we can get this bolt off. Let's get into update number 3 today on the E92. So I'm working on getting the clutch out, the exhaust is off, working on getting the bottom transmission bolts out. I've been working on the top one for the starter, just got that bolt out now. So now we can go back underneath and start getting the rest of the transmission bolts out, and we should be there almost soon. Pretty much 4 hours into it. I did stop to take lunch, but I started at 12 and it's 4 o'clock now, and I'm wondering how long I'm gonna be here for. Okay, so I got a bunch of the bolts out, but I'm kind of stuck now. So I mean, I got all of like the lower bolts and the side bolts. Now I have 2 more bolts and they're all the way up at the top and I just can't see them. So this is gonna take me a little bit to get those bolts out. Okay, so I just got 1 more bolt out with this crazy long extension. As far as the bolts go, I got that one, and then number 1 is the only one left. So it's time to put my support underneath the transmission with the last bolt coming out. Since I forgot the proper tool, kind of screwed this piece of wood together. I got a chain on this side, wrap that up and around, bolt that in there. So I'm gonna put that underneath there, and then we're gonna get that last bolt, and we're gonna get this transmission down. Okay, the transmission is finally down. It is 6:50, and that took quite a while. I'm extremely dirty. Those top 2 bolts were so hard. I had to like go underneath, push the super long extension up there, then come back on top, see how close it was, then go back and forth. I think I went up and down like 50 times getting those 2 bolts out. What a pain in the butt. I literally just dropped the transmission, so now we're gonna get in there and get that pressure plate off. Okay, so we got 6 Allen bolts to get the pressure plate off, then we get the clutch disc out. Whoo-wee! Oh man, the inside of the transmission is extremely grimy. I'm hoping that's just from previous oil leaks and I don't have to do the remain seal. I brought everything to do the remain seal, but I'm really hoping I don't have to do it. Okay, clutch is out and you can see how worn out it is. Almost down to the rivets, no grooves. And then fresh one, got grooves on it, lots of depth to those rivets. Old one's trashed. Flywheel does look fine, but I'm wondering, like, is that just dust or is that like liquidy? I think it's just dust. I don't really see too much oil here. I don't even know if I want to take the flywheel off. It's heavy and then I got to retorque it. And I forgot this freaking tool, so I don't think I'll be able to retorque it. I don't even think I'll be able to get the bolts off because I don't have the locking tool for the flywheel. Luckily, the clutch or the pressure plate bolts aren't too tight and they came off fine. And at the same time, like, it's super greasy in here. Is that a transmission seal or is that rear main seal? Looks like I might need a part 4 to finish off the day. Thanks for all the support on the videos. I like this little E92 TikTok series that I got going on. You guys seem to be interested in seeing what the updates are. So let's give you part 4 of my Thursday. Just to keep you up to speed with my last video, I just got the clutch off. Maybe going to put the new clutch on. 8 o'clock at night, there's no way I'm getting this car back together. So Teresa is actually on her way from downtown. She's going to come pick me up because I thought I was going to have enough time to like get it all done. But it's been 8 hours in and I'm like just halfway. So Teresa's going to come pick me up, but I'm still going to carry on with a couple things before she gets here. It was under here and I was rubbing it with the rag and it's just so much like clutch dust on it. I'm going to grab some brake cleaner, brake clean the surface, brake clean here. I did see a rear main seal went on somebody else's car and it was absolutely dripping oil. So I think this is just from everything else dripping oil coming down, falling down pretty much back here from the valve cover gasket that was used to be leaking. So I'm not going to be doing rear main seal. Hopefully that's okay. So we're just going to brake clean it because I don't have the locking kit for this, so I don't have to get it. No rear main seal. That seems like a pain in the butt. I'm just going to leave it. I do have to get these studs out so that I can get the new bolts in. I'm going to brake clean the inside of the transmission, just clean up as much of this junk as possible. Oh yeah, I did take the wheel off. And we can kind of see that the wheel has been rubbing on the oil cooler right here and here. So I'm definitely going to have to figure out getting that oil cooler farther in and away from the wheel. Doesn't look like just putting mesh here is going to solve the issue because the wheel is just always going to keep grinding on it. Sorry, had a yawn there. Going to keep grinding on it. Maybe when I raise the ride height up, it might move the wheel a little bit farther away, but I don't really know. I'm going to have to try and figure that out. At the back here, I can see the selector seal is definitely leaking right there. So I'm going to try and get a seal and we'll do up that seal for the next time that I come so that it stops leaking out so much oil. Okay, I had to jack the car up an extra bit, but we got the transmission out. Oh yeah, look at all that grunge. Okay, I've got this cleaned up pretty good. I think I'm gonna end up replacing this. It looks a little worn down. If it's a little, get it to focus there. It looks a little worn down. Got most of the grunge off on this side, so I'll make sure I order in that seal for the next time we come. Yeah, I actually had to remove the whole shifter in order to get it out. This side is like stuck in there. On the exhaust side, I tried heating it up with the little blowtorch, heating up the outerness and then hitting it. It's not working, so I think I might end up just chopping it off, drilling it out, And that's how I'm going to get new bolts in there. Flywheel, I have brake cleaned, dripping down, brake cleaned all up in there as well, getting it as clean as I can. That's pretty much all I'm going to be doing on the E92 today. I'm going on vacation next week, so it'll be 2 weeks before I'm back on the E92.